Hello friends, David here from Beyond the Kingdoms, and I'm back today with another look at Fastpass strategies for the Magic Kingdom. Earlier this week, I gave you my tips and strategies for how to tour this park with babies and toddlers. Specifically, those kids under 40 inches tall, who are too small to ride some of the big thrill rides at Magic Kingdom. But today, I'm going to move a step up and look at perhaps the most challenging group when it comes to Fastpass strategies at Disney World's most popular park. Groups that travel with kids of various ages and heights. I'm talking about groups with kids older than 6 or 7, tall enough to ride things like Space Mountain, but also traveling with some toddlers, too small to even get on the Barnstormer. If this sounds like you and your family, then this video will be just for you. Now, like I always say, these are just some of my suggestions. It's virtually impossible for me to give one simple strategy that works for everyone. With a mixed bag of kids, you never know who likes what attraction or character the most. So please consider these with some flexibility. You are certainly welcome to tailor this to your family's specific interests. But let's start with looking at the most popular attractions at Magic Kingdom and the ones that run out of Fastpass availability the quickest. The top 3 choices are Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Peter Pan's Flight, and Space Mountain. And that is in order of most popular first. The first attraction to usually completely run out of Fastpasses is the new Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Fantasyland. Now the next group of attractions are also very popular. Ones that could run out before the day you arrive, specifically during busier points in the year. In order, they are Big Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, Enchanted Tales with Belle, and the remaining Princess Meet and Greet locations. So if something like Peter Pan is out, or maybe all of your kids are a little scared of Space Mountain, the attractions I just mentioned are the next ones to consider heavily. Next, I have some rides that I think are good 4th Fastpass options. Ones that can be booked on the day you're visiting after you've experienced your initial 3. These are rides that have moderate wait times that you probably really enjoy but don't necessarily have at the top of your list of priorities. They are the Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean, as well as Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin and Winnie the Pooh. And finally, I just want to highlight 3 attractions that almost never need a Fastpass. If you're stuck with limited options, I would place these at the bottom of your list of priorities. They are Mickey's PhilharMagic, Mad Tea Party, and Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. I can't think of a time I have ever booked a Fastpass for any of these, even when I was really desperate. So let's next move into specific choices and strategies when building an itinerary. Like I said in my previous video, Magic Kingdom is best enjoyed over the course of 2 days. This park has a tremendous number of attractions to experience. And with any kid, this is the park to dedicate the most time to. But if for some reason you only have 1 day at the Magic Kingdom, this is how I would first approach a Fastpass strategy. First of all, I would book either Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or Space Mountain, and rope drop whichever of the 2 you don't get. In a perfect world, I would book Seven Dwarfs and make a beeline for Space Mountain first thing in the morning. But seeing that Seven Dwarfs is really popular, I'm going to assume that you may not get it. My second Fastpass choice would be Peter Pan's Flight. And finally, a mountain of your choice between Thunder and Splash. Big Thunder Mountain has a slight edge in my book. Now, when it comes to planning your itinerary for the day, I would certainly rope drop the park and be ready at the park's hub before official opening time, just so you can make your way to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train first. This family-friendly coaster is really fun, but I still don't rank it as good as Space or Thunder. So, getting it done first thing in the morning with a minimal wait time is my personal preference. After that, I would then quickly move to Enchanted Tales with Belle, or a different Princess Meet and Greet of your choice. Belle is another one of those attractions that consistently hovers around 45 minutes at least. So again, it's best to experience this earlier in the day. I would then work through as much of Fantasyland as you can in the morning, leaving Peter Pan last with your first Fastpass reservation of the day. You can experience this when the park reaches its busiest point in the day, around 12 noon, just before having lunch. I personally love to do the quick service version of Be Our Guest restaurant for lunch. Next, you can move into Liberty Square with a visit to the Haunted Mansion, and move counterclockwise through this land into Frontierland, where you'll get to experience your preferred mountain of choice. I always say do Splash Mountain first, then do a Fastpass for Big Thunder directly afterwards. That way you can dry off. So that will be your second Fastpass reservation for the day. You'll next move into Adventureland during the early evening hours, where you can experience rides such as Pirates of the Caribbean in the standby line. I personally like to have an early dinner here with a stop at Skipper Canteen. But if the menu doesn't fit the bill, you can choose another restaurant. I would finally end my day with an evening visit to Tomorrowland. If you're still trying to rest your stomach from dinner, you can do easy things like the People Mover and the Laugh Floor, just before your third Fastpass reservation at Space Mountain. I would then leave Buzz for last when the line starts to die down a little bit, or attempt a fourth Fastpass for it. Now, depending on what time the fireworks show is, you can quickly jump over to the hub to watch Happily Ever After. But one of the reasons I do Tomorrowland last is because if going to the hub is too stressful, the Tomorrowland Bridge is my preferred second viewing option for the popular show. Now, you've probably noticed a few predicaments in this itinerary. First of all, it's very possible that classic attractions like the Haunted Mansion and the Jungle Cruise will have a wait time well over 30 minutes long. Secondly, what about the parade? That's a difficult thing to add into a jam-packed one-day plan. Finally, some of these Fastpass choices are for rides with height restrictions. So, what do you do with the toddlers too small to ride? In this case, let me suggest some places where you can choose to split Fastpasses up and use Rider Switch Pass. If you want to learn more about how this service works, click the icon at the top right-hand corner now. This video details exactly how to use Rider Switch Pass and Fastpass together. Now, you can split the group up in whatever works best for you, but a good general rule of thumb is to split the adults up. That way the kids can ride more attractions without waiting in line. Now, this does mean that some adults may have to sit out of some of the attractions, but I think you'll find my suggestions are not too bad. One good place to split is at Space and Buzz Lightyear, especially since you ride by yourself on Space Mountain anyway. I would have one adult do Space Mountain alone, allowing the rest of the group to get a Rider Switch Pass. Then that group can turn around and head for Space Ranger Spin using their Fastpass, which is only a few steps away. Another good split is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train with a more minor ride specifically for the toddler. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh comes to mind, or even Dumbo. I'm sure an adult wouldn't mind sitting out one of these classic yet short rides. Finally, another good way to split Fastpasses is between Splash and Thunder Mountain. The toddler does lose out on a Fastpass here, but you can take him or her to do something simple nearby, like the Country Bears or the Magic Carpets. The only downside of splitting Fastpasses on a one-day itinerary is that your return time for the Rider Switch Pass may conflict with other plans. This is exactly why 2 days at Magic Kingdom is really helpful. So let's look at some options for a 2-day plan. Now, I like to divide and conquer. Splitting up the park in 2 days means you can split up the lands as well. I personally like to have a classic day combining Fantasyland and Adventureland, and then have a thrill day putting Tomorrowland and Frontierland together. And for sake of argument, I'm considering Frontierland and Liberty Square as one mega land. Splitting the lands up also means that using Rider Switch Pass should be easier, since you'll have more time on your hands. If so, I would book the following attractions on day 1. I would book Peter Pan's Flight for everyone, along with the princess meet and greet of your choice. Remember that Enchanted Tales with Belle tends to run out the fastest. Then I would split the third Fastpass between Seven Dwarfs and again a minor attraction for the toddler. And day 2 can involve a lot more splitting up, especially since these two sections of the park are not packed with as many rides as Fantasyland. I would split Splash and Thunder Mountain up for my first Fastpass, split Space Mountain and Buzz Lightyear, which leaves you with a spare Fastpass to use on whatever you think is most important. If splitting up and doing Rider's Switch is just too complicated, then just stick to Thunder, Space, and Buzz. Okay, so let's now look at how to build a 2-day itinerary with these choices. On day 1, I would absolutely rope drop the park and head straight to Adventureland. You'll find that when you rope drop this land, it will be virtually empty. Everyone else makes a beeline to something else. You can blitz through all the attractions here in under 2 hours, even things like Swiss Family Treehouse. I would just make sure to do the Jungle Cruise first, followed by Pirates, then the remainder can be done in whatever order you like. This means that the rest of your day will be completely dedicated to Fantasyland. Now, there are multiple ways to tour this land, but one way is to start at Peter Pan's Flight with your first Fastpass of the day. Then, just work logically from left to right until you hit lunchtime. After lunch, everyone can freshen up and then use their second Fastpass on a princess meet and greet of your choice. You can continue working your way through the land at your own pace and leave Storybook Circus for the end of the night. I particularly love Dumbo at night with all the pretty colors. And you can even end your day by meeting some of the Fab Five at Pete's Silly Sideshow, when the wait times will hopefully be shorter. Now you can also do this in the exact reverse order. Some people love to hit the Casey Jr. Splash area at high noon, when kids are really hot and want to cool off. If so, stick to Adventureland first thing in the morning. Then, grab the train in Frontierland to circle your way to Storybook Circus around the late morning hours. And simply do Fantasyland in reverse, leaving Peter Pan and Small World last. Either way means that if you want to enjoy Be Our Guest for dinner, you can easily schedule that into your evening. Now, day 2 doesn't have to be as long, but it will be packed with the bigger thrills. You don't necessarily have to rope drop on this day, but if you get to the park early, this is a good opportunity to meet Mickey Mouse in Town Square. Then make your way to Tomorrowland. I would focus on the outdoor attractions first, earlier in the morning, before it gets too hot. Think Tomorrowland Speedway and Astro Orbiter. Then by midday, when you need some shade, you can do your Fastpass split between Space Mountain and Buzz Lightyear. You can then enjoy a quick lunch at Cosmic Rays before heading to the hub to watch the Festival of Fantasy Parade. Since this day will have a smaller number of attractions than day 1, I put the parade and fireworks on this day. Then, after the parade, I would move to the Haunted Mansion in Liberty Square. Again, this line may be a little long at this time of day, but I personally don't mind this particular standby queue. It's a fun experience. And I think more people will head elsewhere right after the parade. After Haunted Mansion, you can slowly work into Frontierland and do your second Fastpass selection by splitting up Thunder and Splash. If you have a little one too small to ride, you can take a break at the play area just under the train station. Now this may mean you'll probably be done well before dinner time, giving you some free time to go back and do something you've skipped. Then, after dinner, you can snag a really good viewing spot for Happily Ever After. If scoring a spot somewhere in the hub or Main Street is vital to you, I would give yourself at least 45 minutes to an hour before showtime to comfortably choose your preferred location. So with that, my friends, you have my personal suggestions on how to book fast passes at the Magic Kingdom, specifically for groups with a mixed age group of kids. I'm sure many viewers have some great tips of their own, so feel free to leave some comments down below. But I think that about does it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.